A crushing 4-0 defeat to PSG in the semi-finals of the 2025 FIFA Club World Cup wasn't just a loss on the pitch. It marked the end of an era at Real Madrid. With the final whistle came a heartfelt farewell to Luka Modric, the quiet captain, the symbol of loyalty. As Xabi Alonso's Real Madrid now turns toward the future, it's time for us to look back and honor the incredible journey of a true football artist who gave everything to the royal white shirt. Luka Modric is leaving Real Madrid, a moment no one wanted, but everyone knew had to come. As the number 10 bowed his head in goodbye, it felt like a glorious chapter in Madrid's history closed for good. That night, the whole world stood in ovation. But to truly understand why this man commands such admiration, we need to rewind all the way back to where the story began, the city of Zadar, Croatia. While Real Madrid's Galacticos were being molded in world-class academies and signed for millions, Modric grew up to the sound of grenades. His grandfather was killed by rebel forces just outside their home. Their house was burned down, forcing the family to flee and live in a crumbling, abandoned hotel. While kids his age trained on lush green pitches, Modric practiced his dribbling on cracked concrete. His worn-out boots scraped the ground as air raid sirens echoed overhead. From the start, he was told he didn't have what it takes. Too small, too skinny, barely visible to the scouts. Hajduk Split turned him down. Even Dinamo Zagreb had little faith when they signed him. People said, "You won't last in modern football, where size and speed rule everything." But Modric never got angry. He simply packed his bags and went to Bosnia, battling through the rough, unforgiving lower leagues to toughen himself up. At Zrinjski Mostar, he was kicked and hacked so often that his training shirts were stained with blood. That's where the fighter in Modric was born. Resilient, fearless, unbreakable. He returned to Dinamo as a midfield general. Then came Tottenham. Then the world stage. But what makes people truly admire Modric isn't just the trophies. It's how he kept rising every time he was knocked down. As he once said, "I'm a survivor. That means more to me than any title." Every pass he makes carries the patience of someone who's waited his whole life. Every long-range shot is shaped by countless hours, training in muddy fields. Every press he escapes brings back memories of weaving through war zones and obscurity. In his childhood, Luka learned one hard truth. The world won't wait for you. You have to survive before you can even think of winning. And that's why, when the ball is at his feet, the stadium falls silent. He makes us believe that intelligence and heart can conquer even the harshest battlefields. From a boy running from bombs to a global football icon, Luka Modric hasn't changed much. Still humble, still quiet, still playing like every touch comes from the soul, not just the boots. When Luka Modric signed for Real Madrid in the summer of 2012, the Spanish press didn't hold back. One headline read coldly, "A useless signing." It was doubt wrapped in sarcasm. Just a few years earlier, when he first arrived at Tottenham from Dinamo Zagreb, the English media had called him a skinny kid from Croatia. In a league known for its physical battles, where midfield heroes were built like Patrick Vieira or Yaya Touré, Modric looked like a schoolboy on his first day of class. And as many had predicted, his start wasn't smooth. But Luka Modric didn't talk back. He let the football speak for him. In his first season in La Liga, he was voted the worst signing of the year, a brutal blow for any player wearing the iconic white of Real Madrid. But instead of becoming an expensive flop, he quietly began one of the most remarkable transformations in modern football. Under Carlo Ancelotti, Modric was moved into a deeper role, the quiet orchestrator in midfield. Every movement was measured. Every pass was precise. From being mocked, he became the heartbeat of Real Madrid's charge toward La Decima. Everyone remembers Sergio Ramos's 93rd minute header in Lisbon, 2014. But it was Luka who delivered that corner, a perfect, gentle arc, like a pencil line drawn by fate, landing the ball exactly where time and destiny met. Modric played all 120 minutes that night, dictated the entire rhythm of the game, and was named Man of the Match by UEFA. The early critics, long forgotten, But Modric never asked for apologies. He just kept going, playing as if no one had ever doubted him. In a Real Madrid era full of Galacticos, where every player was a brand, Modric stood out by saying nothing. Ronaldo had the goals, Bale had the speed, but Modric had the rhythm. No one called him the brightest star at the Bernabéu, but everyone knew he was the one star they couldn't do without. Over 11 seasons in Madrid, Luka Modric played more than 500 matches, lifted 26 trophies, including 5 Champions League titles and 3 La Liga crowns. But those numbers don't explain what he meant to fans. It was the calm whenever he touched the ball, the instinctive applause when his name was read out, the trust that everything was under control when number 10 had the ball. And then, in 2018, when the world believed the Ballon d'Or was a private duel between Ronaldo and Messi, Modric quietly broke the script. He led Croatia on a fairy tale run to the World Cup final, carrying a nation, not with flash, but with fight. In a footballing world filled with stars raised under the spotlight, Modric represented something else. Players forged from rubble, not red carpets. He won the Ballon d'Or that year, not because he shouted the loudest, but because he reminded the world, even at football's highest peaks, there's still room for a boy who once slept beneath the sound of bombs. In a football world that's become increasingly loud, filled with teary goodbyes and rushed farewell letters on social media, Luka Modric chose to leave Real Madrid with quiet dignity. No drama, no spotlight, just a man stepping off center stage after more than a decade of glory. At 39, Modric was no longer starting every week. His role had shrunk to just 15 or 20 minutes at the end of matches. But even in those brief cameos, it was clear he was still the most elegant dribbler on the pitch. And every time his number lit up on the substitution board, the entire Bernabéu rose to their feet, because they knew every moment he was on the pitch was a moment of history, playing out in slow motion. Modric never complained about being benched. He held no resentment toward those who took his place. In fact, he offered to take a pay cut, just to stay and mentor the next generation. He once said something that left every Madridista silent. "I will never ask to play. I just want to be here." That wasn't just a quote. It was the voice of a man who saw Real Madrid as home. In his final seasons, Modric was always the first to arrive at training. He was the steady hand behind the rise of others. When Jude Bellingham lit up the league, Modric was the first to congratulate him. When Arda Güler scored his first goal, Luka pulled him aside, whispered something, and smiled, a quiet passing of the torch. When the club finally decided not to renew his contract, there were no bitter posts, no cryptic messages, no farewell theatrics. Modric simply accepted it. He let the club choose its path, a small act filled with the grace of a true gentleman. Real Madrid often celebrates its Galacticos, the stars from every corner of the footballing world. But sometimes in that glittering galaxy, one star doesn't shine the brightest. It simply stays, constant, steady, warm. Luka Modric was that star. And when he left, Real didn't just lose a player. They closed the book on a chapter written in humility, patience, and unwavering loyalty. Some players pass through football like a gust of wind, loud one moment, forgotten the next. But Luka Modric? He burned like a quiet flame. Not blinding, but warm enough to never be forgotten. When Modric left Real Madrid, it wasn't just the end of a career. It was the end of an era where humility triumphed over hype and resilience redefined greatness. And it may be a very long time before the Bernabéu finds another like him, a man who never needed to prove anything to the world, because his presence alone was the answer.